But first tonight, Maine's senators and representatives in Washington, the senators especially, are working to find some way to end the current government shutdown. Among those in the middle of it is a man from Maine named Steve Abbott. Abbott has been the top staff member for Senator Susan Collins for several decades and just recently was honored for his work by one of Washington's leading news organizations. 207's John Kerrigan talked with him a few days before the shutdown began about a job he loves and a place currently filled with frustrations.
Steve Abbott is a modest guy, but he works at one of the most influential jobs in Washington, Chief of Staff for a U.S. Senator. It's a job he's done for Senator Susan Collins for almost a quarter century.
I mean, I love the Senate, and I think it is a critically important institution for this country, and the Senate's always played a special role. I don't think there's an institution like it in the world.
He's at the center of it, leading the staff of 50 in D.C. and Maine, plus dozens more on committees, and helping make key decisions on crucial issues. Steve Abbott was a sports star at Orono High, then captain of the football team and a scholar at Harvard. He later worked as a lawyer in Maine before joining Collins in Washington in 1997. But Washington today is a place he says has changed for the worse. So compare it now to 1997.
Now's a tough time, I think, in government. You see it throughout the country, and it just seemed easier than to work with other people, to work with outside groups. I mean, people just were more willing to talk, to compromise. It's hard right now from that standpoint.
He says most of the people around the Capitol with similar jobs would likely agree.
There's so much tension throughout the country. You see it just anything involving politics. And people look at politics differently than they did 25 or 30 years ago. They watch it almost like sports. They got their team, they cheer for their team. They cheer against the other team. There isn't really as much a sense of sort of the shared mission that we had over a lot of the other time.
The government shutdown, clearly a symptom, and a situation he says both parties could have avoided if they wanted.
But it's inexcusable, it's horribly frustrating, and it's just a terrible way to run the government.
Abbott has had at least one bright spot in recent weeks. The Hill, a longtime Washington newspaper and website, named Steve Abbott as one of its 25 people who make Capitol Hill run.
That was a very nice honor, I will say. I was touched. I was a little embarrassed, but it was...
Why?
Well, I mean, as a staff person, that's usually not what you're doing, right? I mean, as a staff person, you do your work. And it's the members who generally get the attention.
The senator seemed to not mind at all.
I am so fortunate to have Steve serve as my chief of staff.
I do think it's helped credential me a little bit with the younger staff in the office who are like, I don't even know what he does. So I think from that standpoint,
I should pay attention
right,
when he walks in.
Right, exactly. I think it's helped me with that. But. And it starts with the governor, and it starts with the governor's cabinet.
Steve Abbott did try once to be the office holder himself, running in the Maine Republican primary for governor.
Well, that was 2010, and that was a short but glorious experience. And when that came to a crashing halt after the primary, that's when I became athletic director. Right now, our hockey program is not where it needs to be.
He ran the university's athletic department for 3 years, then went back to join Senator Collins in 2013. He's been there through all of the ups and downs ever since, a world that he says has become more fractured from harsh national politics and big money pressure groups.
It is hard. It's a 50-50 nation right now, and half the country has trouble understanding the other half. They just see things so differently, and if people aren't willing to talk, if people aren't willing to listen and engage with each other, it's really going to be hard to move forward.
And he says all of that turmoil has made his boss's life more dangerous.
When the senators in state, and maybe you're not going to answer this, but when the senators in state Does she travel with security?
You are correct, Don. I'm not going to answer that. But I will say we have changed the way that we do business.
He says there was a time when Collins would even drive herself to some events in Maine. Those days are gone.
We just don't do it like that anymore. We can't afford to. It's too dangerous, and the threats are too real to allow that.
Did you ever imagine, even 10 years ago, that we'd be at this point?
It never occurred to me that it would be like this.
He has hope the Senate and the country can eventually put the attacks and bitterness aside and find a better way, but says that could take years. Still, he's not ready to give up on helping Capitol Hill run.
You know, sometimes in the hustle and bustle of the day, you lose track of that, but then you'll be there late at night for a meeting, and you sit in the rotunda by yourself, which is an experience that so few people ever have, and just look around, you're like, wow, this is really something.
A world that Steve Abbott says, despite all the frustrations and problems, he still loves.
Steve Abbott keeps up a schedule few of us would want. Monday through Thursday are very long days in Washington. Friday through Sunday, he's in Maine with his family, but it's a 24/7 job, he says, meaning he is always on call. And the prospects for ending the divisiveness and bitter politics causing difficulty, he says it's probably going to take several more administrations and Senates before we see meaningful change. We also want to thank Abbott's staff for taking the video of him in Washington for us.